All right, Hugo's Way. Welcome to YouTube Conversations, man.
What's going on, man? All right.
Nothing much. All right, so I appreciate you having me here. All right, so let's get into it. So, the first time I seen you was on the Lapeef network, right? Is that when you started to be on YouTube, or you was on before that?
Um, my boy, he has a very prominent Facebook. We're talking like 38 million followers. So
Oh
we've
wow.
done podcasts and bars. We've done segments. I've done some skits that showed up on his page. So, I've kind of been doing some, a little bit of media stuff kind of with him.
Okay, great. And now, what's your purpose on social media?
So, like during the pandemic, I started to I started to really analyze mostly the black community and a lot of my family. Um, and I'm from a wild area. So, and I've been through the trenches and I've been out of the trenches. I've been through the corporate life, and I'm always thinking about how to fix my situation. I'm one of the leaders of my family. I would say probably the leader at this point. And I just started seeing the flaws and what was going on. I started studying our history, and I just come to find out like things are upside down in the community, period. So once I started seeing the red pill space, it was doing a fraction of the work, but most of the work is really on those family values and really for men to start becoming men. So I said, you know, I don't really want to go in here and just speak about it. So I just grabbed together like a group of men and I started doing things. I started enforcing the values that I thought was dope. Um, we started doing hikes, started doing physical training, and I started actually, bringing in leadership values, doing accountability groups. And then once I started listening to YouTube again, I said, yo, I need to really be more vocal about this because I'm only getting to a certain group, local. And I said, I'll be vocal about this on YouTube and I'll sort of give out the structure of what I'm doing outside in the real world. So that's how it started.
Okay, and what's one thing you see about the black community um, that you would like to fix? I mean, there's quite a bit, right? But
Mhm.
concerning with, I guess you could say with us let's say us on social media. Let's start with that.
It- you saying the how the community acts on social media? You mean?
Yeah, like do you follow the shade room?
Oh yeah. Of course, everybody knows about it. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So, and I think the shade room is majority black, right?
All right.
The audience, Lapeef Necker's audience as well. What do you think about us? Like, when you read the comments and stuff,
Mhm.
like our minds, because it starts with the mind, right? Before you can
Yeah.
physically do anything, you have to think it.
So I'm not gonna front. It's kind of triggering because most of social media is really about black women's voices being heard primarily because a lot of men are afraid to speak because they want to mess with these women, you know what I'm saying, or they want to be liked, or they're not ready to rile up. I mean, they're not ready to be that person to jump in between conflict and stop things between black women. It's just always this fearful of retribution from whether it might be family members, girlfriend. They might not get no pussy or whatever the case. Um, and they're afraid to say things. So we've got a bunch of women who are saying anything. Now it's online. It's cool. You really just saying what you've been felt. But I just think because you don't have that balancing act of men actually saying things back, it's just getting wilder and wilder on one side, you know?
Yeah, I comment something like a woman was twerking, and and I just said the image of a black woman is tarnished, right? And let me ask you, why is it that most people that are involved in these things or believe in these ideologies, um, their first response is about the white person?
Man,
I mean, you've seen that, right?
yeah, you know what? I see it all the time, and I think one of the craziest things about the red pill space, like they don't see that. So the men tend to shuffle. I mean, the women tend to shuffle the accountability down to the men, and then the men tend to shuffle the accountability down to white people. So we really get no accountability, and for the things that we really responsible for. The woman's in charge of the culture in the home, and she's part of that culture because when she's twerking, obviously the next generation thinks twerking is okay. And then we get down to the men. Their responsibility is that higher order of duty, which is like provision or creation. So they're supposed to be making these buildings and these businesses. And then when you look at them for that, it's like, well, the system's a system. And it's like, but bro, did the system stop you from going to work today? You know, did it stop you from walking outside your house? You could have got another job. Is it stopping you from that? Um, so we like there's a lack of self-awareness. And I always say like self-awareness is next to godliness because if you just completely aware of yourself, it's just like a lot of things happen. You blame nobody else and it's just straight output. Um, but it's a lack of self-awareness of what people are actually doing when they're actually doing them, you know?
Yeah, no, man. I totally, um, I definitely totally agree. Trying to pull this up 1 second.
Hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, I think let me ask you a question, okay? So let's say I have a nephew, right? His parents are not around. If he comes out to be a drug dealer or as a teenager, he comes out to be just a horrible person based off the upbringing of me. I'm not his parent, but I
Hmm.
adopted him. Who is to ultimately blame? His parents or me?
Man, I actually had this discussion with my cousin on one of these hikes, man. And he was trying to blame his output on what his stepfather's relationship with his mother or what his mother did. And like if I had to give a percentage, just like I gave to him, I said, 30% of the blame of what you are comes from your parents, because it's, if you're born into poverty, it's difficult to get over that hump. But like, yo, we all know what we're doing. We all, and there's a narrative in the community of, well, he had to do that because he didn't have money, and it's like, yo, that's not, we're not being realistic saying shit like that, um I don't know anybody in America who has to be at that point to where they have to step out the house and they have to sell a drug in order to do that. A lot of times it's just a choice, and that choice is reflective upon who you're hanging around with despite your parents. So, let's say your nephew or, whoever the example was, it ain't just his parents who kind of pushed him into doing that. Besides his parents, when he walked out the house, it was the people who he decided was cool enough to hang around. And then on top of that, after he saw what they was doing, he saw the repercussions from that. He just continued to do that, you know. And
Exactly.
listen, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but what happens is we mature into realizing that. Like I'm a victim of those same circumstances, but what happened to me, I figured it out. And I was never stupid, At the same time, I was working a corporate job. Um, I was probably about 22, 23, and I was doing IT, but because I had so much freedom in my position, I was essentially the department. I was able to leave at lunch and go make a sale. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I understand the trappings of it, but that was my choice. So it just goes to show you this is what people want to do. It doesn't matter what you got. It's just so ingrained in the culture. People just want to do these things,
Yeah, man. Once you get to a certain age, whatever your parents has done, it's on you. You got to go get therapy. But my point was that, you know, with today's society, you see the homosexuals and so forth. Always think about, if you look at the red pill, right, community,
Hmm.
manosphere, red pill, a lot of the black women in general, they kind of hate that atmosphere, right? But it's created because of them,
Right.
right? So I don't know about you, but I know me growing up, I didn't know how to date. Right, you take a woman out to this is the first date. You go out in the movies, right? You spend all this money, and you still nothing really happens, no meaningful. And after a while, you start getting played, and that's where the red pill kind of gets in.
Hmm.
Um, but who's to blame for the red pill creation? Men are tired of being treated a certain way from
Hmm.
women. So who actually created, right?
Right. It's like I always call it universal balance because like there's always a yin for a yang. If that's just like reality was back in the day, men probably was wilding too much to where we was able to pop, smack, and choke a wife or whoever we had in the house. And then the pendulum came back the other way to where they got a little bit hold on. Then it got to the other way where they got a little bit too much freedom. And now it's like they're able to do they're able to do anything. They able to twerk. We've got Sierra and Russell, like he's really okaying that her quote unquote sexual freedom. Um, but he's not really making boundaries. The red pill space is hated because it's creating boundaries once again for the behavior of the community. I think the big thing with chicks is like, and if you discover they never want to be judged, they just want to do what they want to do. So when they come across to this space and they see men are talking about some type of boundaries or some type of structure, and it's the same thing in my family. I've went through that doing what I do. Um, it's a total pushback, you know, and even for the men, and this is why I love this space. Like a lot of people talk about the red pill space and they try to demonize it because it's the cool thing to do. But meanwhile, we're really all red pill manosphere because the collection of consumers or viewers are coming from the same people. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like we're all the manosphere. It's all black media. We might as well just call it what it is. It's really black media, and it's causing people to leave things like hip hop where it's total wildness, emotionality, just total chaos of hey, I'm gonna throw it up, I'm gonna trick for this chick because I have this money. It ain't tricking if you got it. Plus, I'm gonna shoot this nigga, and we gonna laugh about this on a dope ass track. To coming over to the red pill, like, no, handle yourself this way with a chick. You know what I'm saying? Whether it might be a little bit more aggressive or not, it doesn't matter. It's about your standards, about your boundaries, your discipline. And then the other side is, hey, upgrade your life, do better. If you can't get the girl, go do what you got to do. Get your weight down, get your money up, and something's gonna be reflective of that.
Yeah, because the red pill, it's just like anything, right? You have a group, and then you have a whole, because there's no actual application needs to be filled out. All you need to do to be part of Red Pill, just turn a YouTube camera, right?
Right.
Or just create a Facebook account and name it. Put Red Pill in your bio. Now you're part of the Red. So there's really no qualifications, but Red Pill is simply Manosphere, Red Pill. All that simply is say, hey, listen, you probably came here because you're not at where you need to be at as a man.
Hmm.
So let's get your stuff together. And as you start to get yourself together, get a better job, work two jobs, lose the weight, get a haircut on a regular basis, whatever the case may be, you're starting to in the process, you think, man, I'm gonna have all these bitches. I'm gonna and then guess what starts to happen?
Hmm.
Just like if you're not making any money, and then you start to, as you're starting to make money, you think, man, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy. And then guess when you have the money, like, I'm not buying any of that stuff. So
Right.
guess what you start to do as a man in the red pill, as you get yourself together, you thought you was gonna go after all these different women and just bang them all out. But then guess what? You start to be like, nah, I'm not. Nah, you're being very selective
Mm-hmm.
with your time, right? So that's really the red pill is not really to put down women. It's just to say, hey, listen, you're on some bullshit, and I'm not going to tolerate it. Because why? Not because I don't want to tolerate it because you're on some bullshit. I'm not going to tolerate it because I love myself as a human and
Right.
as a man, and I'm not going to. That is something I'm not going to do. And if I'm not going to do something, I'm not looking for your approval. When as before, we're looking for the woman's approval, right?
Definitely.
No, we're moving as men, and we come in here. There's no reason to. There's no reason to constantly bash women. You know, I know, but a
It
lot of stuff I be seeing
happens.
is crazy.
It happens. Yeah.
You know, so let's do this, okay? Let's take a step back. Let's take a few step back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have you said you have your oldest child is how old? Is what gender?
Uh, she's this a girl and she's 15. Well, she's 15. She'll be 16 in March. Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I found out, I used to do life insurance for like 20 years. I just sold the business, right? But
Mm-hmm.
um and other types of insurance. So I used to always try to get it always been difficult to get men to get life insurance. And I always wonder why.
Mm-hmm.
They're asking for their child, they don't even know their child's date of birth. The reason why they won't get life insurance because they don't take care of their kids. Isn't that crazy? It
Right,
took me
but
a
you don't.
long time to put that together.
But you don't need
No,
to.
but most people get life. The selling point to make someone get life because most people don't care until they die, until someone
Right.
dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't. The selling point is to try to get the emotions out of them and try to convince them, hey, listen, if you die today, what happens to your child? Oh,
Oh, right.
my child's gonna go to my mom. No, the child goes to the state, and if your mom is on government assistance, your mother can't get them because supposedly she doesn't have make enough income or she's
Mm-hmm.
not coherent enough. That's why she's receiving all those benefits. So she don't get the. So it's just a selling point. But guess what? They don't know. They don't even know where their child is at, and
Right.
they're afraid to get back in communication with the child because the mom's going to take them to court.
That's that. See, that's crazy. See, like me personally, I got two terms in a universal, but I also have custody of both of my kids, and
Mm,
like I'm not a play it safe guy. I take risk on all accounts. Physical risk. If I'm going somewhere, I'm gonna do that activity. Um, I'm very active as far as running, being physical. I've always been that way. And then I know it's just me, like especially for my daughter. I've had her most of the week since she was 8 months. So Wednesday through Saturday initially. And then after she was like 7, I just had her kind of period. So if I fail, like that's it for her. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I know.
So ain't no way I could walk around here without a million plus of life insurance. You know what I mean?
Mm, got it.